Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so we're just going to cover off our bigger time frame ideas here. So we're still looking for that potential that we could be looking for this as a bigger 1 and a 2. Our support zone that we're looking for here is between this 382 and the 786 ideally. Most common area between the 0.5 and the 786 that we have lowered down here. Now, there are a couple of ways that we could be coming down into this area, depending on where we place this wave 1. If this wave 1 ends here, this could be the first leg of a corrective move. If it is in fact actually over here, then effectively we could look to complete this higher up here potentially. So if we are looking at this case, effectively what we are looking for is the potential here that we could see a wave 3 up towards this 43,447, given a retracement of where we currently are. If we do look to push down deeper here, this will change that target area, and then we would have to obviously recalculate that once we get that moving. Now, the other way we were also discussing this structure here is that we could be still looking for this as a bigger W and X and a Y, where this is W, X, Y, and what we could potentially be looking for is towards this 1-to-1 of this 26,510 if we're going to get a 3-wave move to the downside here. Alternatively, the minimum requirement would be up here towards this 28,419. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this higher level here. If we do see price come back down here, that could potentially be a turning point. We'll have to see and wait for that confirmation though of the structure to the upside for more information. Alternatively here, if we do actually look to complete into this high here, we need to just be careful that we don't get a 5-wave move to the downside. 25,067 to this 23,337 is going to be our lower target for that if we get something like a flat correction to the downside. So effectively this being A, B, and then C. Okay, so let's get into the lower time frame stuff here. Now, we've got quite a lot to talk about today. I want to just go over a few of the ideas that have actually invalidated here. So we're looking at a couple of ideas where we could potentially look to break out, provided that we held this 29,512. We have now come down below that level, so that actually invalidates all those potential extension ideas that we're looking for to the upside. Now, I want to talk about this move to the downside here. Now, it is possible that we've got this as our A wave, this is a B, and we're still looking for this 1-to-1, which is sitting here towards this 28,797. Now, what we need to be a bit cautious within this is there is a couple of ways of counting this move. So if this is the case and this is actually a B wave here and we're looking at this as 1, 2, we need to see continuation down here in an additional 4th and a 5th. Now, we're going to go over that idea. The problem that I have within this idea here is that, you know, if we are looking to break down here where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we don't have a lot of space between these waves. So we're going to go over that potential here, where, you know, effectively what we're looking for is this is 1, 2 here, and then we're looking for this as a potential 3rd wave because we've hit this 1618 level. Now, if we push back above this 29,570, this would invalidate the potential of this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, in which case what we could then see here is that either this could become 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we look to break to the downside from there. Or alternatively, this could actually just be A, B, and C, and we've just hit this rare target of this 1.618. So we're going to go over that idea that this could just be an ABC in a minute. But what I want to just be talking about at the moment is, as long as we fail to break back above this high here, we need to be careful that this isn't 1, 2, 1, 2. Because of the length of this wave 2 here, if we want to see a wave 4 develop here, it needs to be somewhat proportional to this move. So that would mean that we'd have to see something very sideways looking to play out here. Possibly something like a triangle would make sense if we do see something develop in this area, because we can't really come back up above this wave 1 high. So need to just be on the lookout for this. This is why I'm kind of still leaning towards the idea that this could just be ABC here. Alternatively, if this is not ABC, then the next most likely thing to me is that either this move has not completed to the downside, and what we could be looking for is continuation. So the current way that I'm looking at this is effectively this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, extension in the 3rd wave here, and we got this as an additional 4th and 5th wave to the downside. Now, I'm also being mindful that if we do just see a 3-wave move up here and we fail to break back above this 29,474, what we could have is that actually what this is this is 1, 2, This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we still have an additional fourth and a fifth. So if that's the case, then this 28,752 is going to be our target to the downside. Depending on how high we come here, I've taken this off of this 0.382 retracement, which would bring us back in line with this previous fourth wave. If we do just see 3 waves up here and then see another 5 wave move down, breaking this low, then it's possible that we're getting some extension within this. Now, it is possible that this could also just be a really short wave 2 here, and this becomes 1, 2, and then we look to break down in a bigger way. So we need to be careful of that idea as well. Until we actually take this high here of this 30,350, we can look to extend it to the downside. Now, if we are looking to potentially extend to the downside, what we could see is something along these lines, where this move actually becomes 1. We get 3 waves up. Now, our common rejection area for this would be between this 50% typically and the 786. If we do move up here in a 3-wave move, I will still be cautious around this 382 because this is lining up with our previous 4th wave over here. So if we just see 3 waves to the upside here, we need to be cautious of this idea that this could actually just break down directly. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this level here if we do see price look to push up in this way. Now, if this is a 4th wave, like I said, we can't cross this wave 1 area. But effectively, if we do have this as another 1, 2, what we could see is price could move up higher here into our rejection box, reject, and then move down lower towards this lower 1618. So this would align with that idea that what we have here is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we actually look to break down in a bigger way for a bigger 5-wave structure. So gonna have to keep an eye on this idea that really until we start breaking these highs again, you know, the likelihood is that we're going to see this continuation down, but we still need to develop that additional 4th wave and a 5th wave, or this is a 1 and a 2 to confirm it. So really our invalidation is going to be this high and this low. If we break this low here, effectively that idea of this becoming 4, 5 is invalidated. If we break this high here, this invalidates the idea of this becoming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to be careful of this. This could be our much more bearish scenario here where we continue to break down. So we're going to be watching this to see whether this actually confirms itself. Now, looking at the internal move that we have over here, what I would be looking for is effectively this structure could just be A to the upside. This could be A, B, and we're looking for a C wave, and then we look to see a 3-wave move up here. Now, our support zone is going to be here between this 29,035 to this 28,936. If we just see a 3-wave move back down here, we'll be keeping an eye on this golden pocket, looking to potentially swing fail this low here. So if we do see price come back down here, we could still see a rally to the upside where our target would actually be this 29,344. If, however, we do see something like this, where we get this is our A wave, we come back down for a B wave, and we start to push up past this 1618 level, which would be this 29,562. What this could mean is that we're setting up for a 5-wave move, where we'd get this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the upside. Then we'd be looking for a 3-wave move back to the downside here, and then looking to see whether we can continue to hold this low. If we do hold this low, then we could be looking for that possibility of a move to the upside. So we're going to go over some of the ideas now that we could look to actually see a reversal from this zone and what would need to happen for that to take place. But the first thing that we need to do is get back above these highs to confirm this. Until we actually do, you know, that my bias is still going to be that this move can potentially continue down, but we need to just respect the idea that there are some alternatives where we could look for a move to turn around from this point. So one of the ones we were talking about is that we were looking for this still potentially being inside this B wave. So what we are saying is that what we could have here is that this could be our A wave. We're looking for a B wave and a C wave to the downside. Now, the thing is with this, the B wave would have gotten quite long in comparison to this A wave that we've got here, but also that we would have hit that 1618, which is a rare target. You know, it's possible that we could see this happen, but it's just not as common when we see these 1.618s getting hit. We need to just be careful of that idea of extension. However, as long as we fail to achieve the rest of the structure, and if we do look to see price come back up here and invalidate the idea of this extending to the downside, what we could be looking for here is that this move to the downside could just be A, B, and C. And then we could start to develop a 5-wave structure to the upside here, where we see a 5-wave move, which could look to bring us back up into some of those higher levels. Now, some areas that I'll be watching, given the fact that we actually found support here in this 1618, which is a rare target for a B wave. what we could see is that price could then move to the upside here. Now, if we do see this as a 5-wave move, what we'd be looking for is potentially 2 zones. So if we are basing this off of the A wave over here, effectively our zones are going to be over here between this 30,314 to this 29,966. If we are looking at this in relation to the B wave, so an inverse relationship to this B wave, then we have this higher target here, which would align more with the idea of seeing an expanding flat here, which what our targets would be first off, this 1-to-1 brings us back into these highs. And then we do also have these higher targets here, which are sitting in between this level here of this 31,422 and this 30,782. So if we do start to see a bigger 5-wave move to the upside here, this could actually just be A, B, and then we still see that C wave down. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this, though, like I said, until we actually break structure to the upside here and start to form good 5-wave moves down the lower end of this, it is more likely to me that we're going to see that continuation down. So we're going to have to just obviously be a little bit patient with that. But really, for as long as we stay below this zone of this 31,299, we need to be careful that even if we do see a 5-wave move to the upside here, this could just be a B wave, and then we could still see that continuation to the downside afterwards. Alternatively, if we do start to break down in a bigger way here, we need to be careful of that idea that, you know, like I said, this could be 1-2, 1-2, we get another 1-2 here, and then we actually start to break down in a bigger 5-wave pattern. So that's looking at this as a corrective move. Now, we were also talking about the potential that what we could argue here is that instead of looking at this as a 5-wave move into this low that we've got down here, what we could say is that this move here is our W wave. We have this is an A, B, and a C wave, or actually in this case it would be WX and a Y into this high, and that would then make our X wave location. And then we were saying, you know, we could see this as just ABC to complete to the downside. So if this is the case, this would just mean that we have this as a WX and a Y wave to the downside. Now, what could this mean? So if we have a WXY here, it wouldn't really fit into the idea that, you know, this is W, this is X, and this is a Y wave, because we want to just see simple 3-wave structure when we have a Y wave. We don't really want to see stuff like this. We want to see just a typical ABC. So, you know, if this is the case and we're looking at something like this, what we could see is, you know, this could actually be a B wave. So if this is a B wave, what could this mean then? What this could then mean is that we could actually see something along these lines. Now, we talked about this a few times. We have actually come down into that typical area that we were looking for. And what I'm just on being mindful of here is that if we look to reverse and we hold this low here, which is sitting at this 28,873, this could still align with something like this, where we get a bigger corrective structure here, looking for a flat correction. So looking for a move back up into these highs potentially, or at least into this 1-to-1. Now, if we do see something like this, this could align with either this being a smaller flat, so we need to be careful of that, or alternatively, this could be a bigger flat correction where we just get a truncation in the C wave. Alternatively, if this is going to be expanding, what we could still see is price move back to the upside here. 1.618 would be up here at this 32,337, and then we also have this 31,509 as possible upside targets here, where we could see price look to push back up into these zones here, making this bigger B wave here before having a bigger C wave to the downside at a later date. So what we need to be very careful of is, you know, we do have that potential that this could be a completed corrective move here, in which case what we then want to see is 5 waves to the upside, 3 waves back down, and then holding this low. If we break down below this low, then it effectively would invalidate this idea and would confirm the flat. So if we see 5 waves up and then we come back down and we take this low, this confirms the flat correction. Until we actually take the low, though, we wouldn't be able to know the difference. We'd be just having to watch the support zone on the return journey. So just being a bit careful of this idea that, you know, if we do look to come back up here and invalidate that 4th wave, invalidate that wave 2, then we could see something like this as a 5-wave structure developing to the upside here, where we could see the C wave come into play. Now, the reason why I'm looking for this idea here is we have obviously come back into this B wave. We have also hit this as a 0.618. So we've hit this as 0.618. If we want to look at this as A, B, and C. Now, the problem that I have with looking at the structure in this way is you would have to then say that this was a B wave here, or this was an X wave here, where you'd have to then say that this is W, this is X, and this is Y. Now, this does look like a 5-wave move to me, and this move to the downside would be very short if it is a C wave, and it doesn't really have good structure in that way either. So the only other way you could then argue it is that, you know, this is W, this is X, and this is Y into this high, something like that, in which case that would fit the criteria. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we fail to break down back below these lows again and start to build good 5-wave structure here to the upside, this could start to tie in more with this idea than the previous ideas of seeing that direct break to the downside. But like I said, until we actually take this high, we need to just be careful of that bearish scenario here. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we've actually printed a much lower CPR. So this is indicating that, you know, the market is feeling quite bearish at the moment. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on this. If we do move just up here in 3 waves, this would align with the idea that this could become either wave 2 or wave 4 here, and we still see that continuation to the downside. Downside targets would be towards us 28,662, 28,139. Lower down here we have 27,427 and this 26,903. So if we do see price look to reject to the downside, I'm going to be keeping an eye on these levels, particularly this S1 line here, to see whether this primarily holds as support, because that would align with the idea that we could still have an additional 4th and a 5th here. If we do see price move back to the upside here, however, and we start to reclaim this zone of this 29,272 to this 29,480, we could see price actually be gravitated back to the upside here. Now we have this R1 target, which is sitting in quite an interesting area here, this 29,892. So if we do see a deeper retracement here, that could align with coming back in that bigger corrective structure, looking for this as a wave 2. So this would align with coming back up here towards this golden pocket area. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. If we do see price move up into those zones, could be quite interesting. Now we do also have higher targets here towards this 30,617, 31,124, and this area here of this 31,848. So there are some targets here that are aligning with that idea of having a move up here. Obviously, you know, I would expect this to take a bit more time if we're going to break to the upside here. I wouldn't be expecting this just to explode into these zones, but you never know with crypto, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Now, if we are looking at the weekly pivots here, what we can see is that we've actually come down towards the zone of this S2 line here, and we have temporarily found support here. Now, if we do look to push back to the upside, potential resistance can come in at this 29,585. If we do look to lose this level, then we could also potentially look to test out this 28,681 as a possible zone that we could see price move into here, for that possibility that, you know, if there's an additional 5th wave here. So going to be keeping an eye on that level if we do break down. If we do move up, like I said, it's possible resistance at this level, as well as possible resistance higher up here towards this 29,962 and this 30k region. Obviously an important psychological level as well there. And then, you know, if we do start to break back above these, possible targets for this week is this 30,500, 30,906 and this 31,402. Now price can always move through these levels, but these are just potential pivot points within the market. Having a look at the monthly CPR lines here, we can see that we actually bounced off of the central line here. So what I want to see here is that if we do see price come back down, we could potentially look to find support here towards this 28,890. If we do continue to hold this central line here, possibly we could see price get gravitated back to the upside. Now this is a very interesting level here as well, this 29,687, because this would be coming back into these lows. So if we are looking at that idea where this could become 1, 2, and then we start to break down in a bigger 5-wave move, this would align with coming back into this top CPR line here and then seeing that continuation to the downside. Alternatively, if we do start to break down directly, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this lower level here of this 28,111 through this month. And then we also do have this area here of this 26,363 potentially down below us, which could offer us support, which would align with coming back into that channel. And then we also do have the possibility that if we do break to the upside here, targets for this month are still open here towards the upside, which would be this 32,984. So going to be keeping an eye on that. If we do see a break to the upside, this will be our first potential reaction zone. So going to watch how things go from there. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.